Good afternoon. Welcome to Eretz Israel. It's Erev Shabbat. The day is starting to cool, and immediately you feel a new spirit along with the new breeze. It's like the breeze is bringing the spirit, or maybe it's the other way around. The spirit pushes out a new breeze from heaven. But you certainly feel a change here in these hot weeks that the whole world has been having, and we are blessed to be here and in quiet and solitude. We have a little garden in the back here with all the chickens running around. They seem pretty good. They don't seem overheated, but I opened to a page of the Zohar, Parshat Bereishet, and it's kind of like a mind-blowing idea, but not too much. And the idea is that where does God take his advice? Does God he's God, he's perfect. Why does he need to take advice? And if God doesn't need to take advice, why does he clearly show us in the Torah and in the Kabbalah especially that God is taking advice every level after the other? And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai opened up his discourse. He said, Ruata, ki ani anihu. God opens up a verse from Sefer Devarim. Look now and see, I am him. And there is no, Ein Elohim imadi, there is no other God with me. I am him and there is no other. Okay, well, we know that because it's a monotheistic religion. But the Zohar says no. When God says there is no other Elohim with me, it's God saying there are no other levels of myself, of my government, of my thought processes with me. How can we say all that? Listen closely. Amar Avraya, the students, Chavraya, students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Tanaim Kedoshim, the holiest of the holy. Shamu milim matikim, hear the ancient words that I need to receive now after permission was given above. See, we can't just say everything we want to say unless we have permission. But once it is revealed by somebody, then it gives everyone else permission to speak. And it's kind of like that in the Beit Midrash. If you walk into Yeshivat Nar Shalom or any yeshiva that has a bit of dignity and protocol, you don't just raise your hand and start talking. There's an order of things. There is the Rosh Yeshiva. There is the level of the students that are there every day for years. And there's other students who are not as regular. And there are students that know more than others. And there's this whole order of access and permission to speak. Well, the same is true in heaven. We can't just go out and speak Torah unless it is or has been already revealed. And what is this that God said? Rabbi Shimon asked the question that we're asking. What does he mean? Ra'u see now, ki ani anihu. Behold, ani anihu. I am him. As if God needs to tell us that he's God. Or maybe God's telling himself, I am him. And there is no other with me. Ela dahu ilata kol ilain. Rather, we should know that this is the voice of the highest of all the other levels. That there are certain levels within God's own universal persona that speak to each other. You got this? It suddenly hit me that we have those levels too. Aren't we talking to ourselves all the time? Isn't one part of me talking in my brain and the other part is listening in my brain? And sometimes I'm saying things that I really would not be proud of. That's a lower piece of the network. And sometimes I think things that I feel very proud of, and that's a higher level in the network. See, we see God doing it right here. This is the cause of all causes, the root of all roots. Because in Kabbalah there are many roots of many powers and extensions of extensions of extensions of power. But Ilat Ilot, the cause of all causes, Ilat Me'ilen Ilot, is the cause amidst all the other causes, De Lo Ya'avid Had Me'ilan Ilot Shuma Uvda, that no of the other forces can do anything without first asking permission. So this is a very interesting idea. God is telling you that within himself, he's giving himself permission. And the lower level of anybody, even us little human beings, is reaching up to our higher self to get permission, to speak, to do, to act. Until we have to take permission from this highest of high levels. And so too it was explained earlier in the Zohar from the words Na'aseh Adam, we will make man. And this we has been fascinating commentators for thousands of years. Why does God speak about himself in the plural? Na'aseh Adam, we will make man. And some people say those are the angels that God used to help create man. And some people say that those are the sphirot, or the parts of Fim, the upper divine personas that God created in order to have a cosmic family, if you will, for us to relate to. Because when you have an infinite eternal being, it's very hard to relate to him because there's nothing solid to hang on to. But when he gives us a cosmic family, we can, there's an Abba, there's an Ima, there's a father, there's a mother, there's a son, there's a daughter, and there's a crown around all of them. Now I have some handle. But this idea, Na'aseh Adam, we will make man, is God seeking to tell us something else. To tell us that he doesn't do things on his own permission per se. That there is a process within the infinite being that is checking himself. And the lower levels always have to ask permission from the other levels, the higher ones. And this idea of making man, in the plural, it's said about two. And every level asks the permission of the one above it. And it does something that no one ever says anything in this level of reality without first seeking permission, clearance, clarification from a level above it. So for some of us, this is difficult. Why do I have to ask, a higher force for permission to speak? Why do I have to ask my rabbi? Why do I have to ask the rabbi's rabbi all the way back in time? Well, you don't have to. But what the Zohar is telling us is that it's a good idea. If God himself, who is perfect of all levels of perfection, is still seeking guidance and advice from within himself, from the different levels of creation, maybe it's wise for us as well. And he says more or less the same sentence with a little addition, that he's asking for the one up from above him, from his knowledge, to receive an advice from his friend. Now here we're talking about cosmic forces now also have friends. Who are the friends of the cosmic forces? Well, other cosmic forces. Because what we don't really invest our imagination enough to understand, when we're talking about cosmic forces, they're just as alive as we are. They just don't need physical bodies to exist. And they're so much bigger than this the physical realm that we're talking out of right now. I think you understand what I mean. And they're still asking their friend, their more exalted companion, the next level up. And a lot of people don't like to ask advice because it's humbling. It means I'm admitting that I don't have all the answers. Surprise, surprise. That I don't know what exactly I need to do right now. Oh, really, Avram? You're not that certain anymore? Hey, folks, if we just had enough humility to to find our place in the sun, or here in the sunset, to find our place, that it's okay to ask for an advice, either from an external being that has more experience and knowledge than you, or to ask it from within ourselves, knowing there is a higher place in us. Because if God does that, it's good enough for me. But the level that is called the cause of all causes, that there's nothing above it. And that level is called, in a general sense, Adam Kadmon, the ancient man. But it's really the universal structure of all reality that God gave it that name, the ancient man. And there's nothing above it. Velo letata shavele, and there's nothing below that is close to it. As it is written, Al dami tidamyenu tidamyeni v'shaveh yomar kadosh. Don't imagine and don't compare. The Holy One says, we can't. We can't imagine a level above us. We can think about the pieces of information that we've gathered in our learning and in our prayer, but the next level up is something completely new. And so on and so forth, up above, one after the other up the ladder. Amaru ro'ataki now ani anihu. God says, we bring you the verse again. I am him. And it's interesting, this verse is taken from Yeshayahu, which is the Haftarah of this Shabbat, Shabbat Chazon. So Yeshayahu was one of the great prophets of Jerusalem, especially, because prophets came from different neighborhoods, different locations around Eretz Israel. And they had their followings, and they had their students and teachers. And he says, don't try to imagine or compare. Because when God says, Ani Anihu, I'm him, know that that's the level that you can't go any higher than that level. And Elohim imadi, and there's no judge with me. Now that's the name of God that represents the judge. He's not up here at this level. This is the level above judgment. This is the level of pure light and will. Pure will is will. It's already been clarified. You already have your truth. You have it strongly in your mind and in your heart and in your hand, your truth. The natil etzamineh, that we're going to take level from that highest level, you can't go wrong. And it exists inside of us. And that, my friends, is the biggest miracle of all. For example, like the one who said, Vayomer Elohim Naseh Adam, which of course was God speaking through Moses when he said, when God revealed, I said, Naseh, we will make man. Even that's humbling, to think that something else needed to make us. As if I made myself, of course. Self-made man. You've heard that phrase before. I think there's a little bit of illusion attached to that idea. But when we go to the Zohar, the illusions become reality, and our realities become illusions. So with that idea, we should all have a wonderful Shabbat, a Shabbat of reality. The reality of the King within and the King without. The idea that you always have your advisor with you. God bless you all. Shabbat Shalom.